Hi, this is Neil from UseMyFrame.com, and this is another video in a series of how to master the lens meter, and we're using the Marco 101. In this video, we're going to go over how to read spherical lenses, both how to read them, sometimes called neutralize, and also spotting spherical lenses. We won't do anything with cylinder, no access. Just going to keep it simple, and we'll begin with how to read the power drum. For some, it may seem really simple, but when you're first getting into it, it may be a little tricky, especially at first, but you'll quickly catch on, and you'll see it'll be a piece of cake. So looking forward to this video. We're really starting to get into the meat of things. So grab some spherical lenses and let's dive in. All right, so here is our power drum, and right now we have it set to 0. The numbers above in black are positive. The numbers in red below are negative. And it's similar to an inch scale. So if we go up here, this would be a +1, a +2, a +3, and so on. In the same way, this would be a -1, a -2, a -3, and so on. All right, so those are your whole numbers, your whole diopters. Now, let's say in between the 0 and the 1, this is 50, or half a diopter, technically. Another tip is when you're rotating the drum wheel, instead of holding the smaller wheel on the outside, hold the bigger wheel, and you're able to get more fine-tuned control, especially for some of the smaller marks that we'll get into. Okay, so this would be a positive half diopter. This would be a negative half diopter, a -1, a -1.50 diopter, -2, -2.50, or -2.5. Oop, and my mark is a little off right there. Okay, -3, -350, -4, and so on. Okay, now we'll go to the pluses just to do the same thing. A plus half diopter, a +1, +1.5, +2, +2.5. Okay, and notice only up to 3 diopters in both directions do you have these finer increments. Beyond that, they only go to a quarter. And that gets us to our next one. So what we'll do is we'll actually start at 3, because past 3, there's only a quarter diopter marks, so we don't even have to worry about the smaller ones. So if this is 3.5, this is 3.25, or 3.25 diopters. 350, 375, 4. See how that works? Once you, like I said, it might be tricky at first, but once you see it, that's why instead of putting it on a paper, or trying to diagram it out, I just figured it would be better to just show it right on the drum, so you can see firsthand, so you can relate it when you go to when you're looking at your own. All right, so in the same way, we're going to go down to our -3, -325, -350, -375, -4. All right, if we want a minus 475, where do we put it? Do we put it on this one, on this one, or on this one? If you said this one, you would be right. Right? Because this is 425, this is 450, this is 475, and then a quarter beyond that would be 5. So sometimes in the beginning, people will accidentally mistake this because they're so used to going up as the higher, you know, so, but once you see it on the scale like this, I think it makes it really easy. All right, we'll go back to 0. So now the quarter diopters, what we just went to, your 0.25, then 0.50, then 0.75, and then your next whole number. Those are going to be how the majority of prescriptions are written and the majority of how lens powers will be. They're going to come in quarter diopters. But sometimes the doctor will specify that maybe they want a 1.125 or 1.12 as it's commonly abbreviated. Okay, so now they're breaking it down even finer. Sometimes when they're taking the prescription, it's going in between the 3 is too weak, but the 3.25 might be too strong. So they need it in the middle, right? And that would be 3.12. So down here on underneath the 3 diopters, we have those little tick marks, right? So this would be 0.125, and then double that, and we get 0.25. 0.37 would be the next one, and then 0.50, 0.62, 0.75, 0.87, and finally 1 whole diopter. I hope that makes sense. And a lot of times when you're spotting lenses especially, is you're going to have to use some sort of a tolerance. And usually the tolerances are those eighths of marks that we were just going. So, and you know that because each one is divided into, each diopter is divided into 8 parts. So you figure that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then that makes a whole diopter. So hopefully that makes sense. And the same thing in the plus is the same thing in the minus. Okay, so I'm going to give you a test. Now I haven't covered any of the minuses yet, but I want you to try and, in your mind, what is this value? And I'm going to put it right here. We'll start with an easy one. How much is that? If you said a negative 0.75, you're right. Great job. Okay, and how we get that is, this is your 1, and we're 0.25 under that, right? So, and remember, we got a big hash mark in the middle, that's our half, and then the next bigger, those are quarters, here and here, and then these are by 8ths, the smaller ones, right? So, what is this? A minus 150. Hopefully you're getting these before I say them. If you are, great job, and you're catching on really quick. And it really is that simple. So now we'll start getting into some harder ones, okay? Let's say we want here. What is that? Now I know that eighths aren't as common as the quarters to break down the scale. So, you know, a lot of people could easily go through a quarter, a half, a 75, a whole. The eighths, they may not be as fast, okay? But if we break this down, now an easy way to look at this is it's in between the quarter, right? A -2.5 and a 50. So it's lower than 50, but more than 0.25. And that would be a 0.37. Okay? So if you're catching these so far, you're doing great. And I really hope you are. And if there's something I'm not explaining right, or if I'm losing you during some of this, make sure to leave a comment below. And I will do my best to answer that and hopefully clarify it. As well as I'm sure other people that watch these videos. So we all got to start there. So don't worry about if you're not catching on to it. You will. Okay? All right. I'm going to grab a lens. I'm going to put it in there. In my lens meter. I lock it in just because it's kind of cumbersome with these cameras in the way. Now, you'll see that the reticle, or really the target is out of focus, okay? So obviously the power of this lens is not a -0.37. So we're gonna find what the power of this lens is. So remember, when you're looking for the power of a lens, a really good rule of thumb is to go high in the plus and work your way down and come down slowly. And I'm continuing to turn. You see it start to get a little fuzzy again. It's not quite as bright, so I'm going to back off. And right there. And I'm doing that while looking at my second camera. So I wasn't quite sure how it's gonna, you know, if it was actually dial in and come out to a true lens power, but it looks like it did. So the power of this lens is a -1. See how simple that was? And it can't be anything other than a -1. Some people get kind of intimidated thinking, well, I'm gonna make a mistake if I have to read it like this, but no. You know, that's why it's called a focometer, is it's focusing that light onto this specific point, and we're using that to dial that in, and we found this to be a -1. Pretty cool, huh? Let's do another one. This one. All right, I put the lens in. I'm going to go high in the plus, and I'm going to work my way down. See, they start to come in, and as you're spotting, you're most likely, you know, once you get comfortable with it anyway, you're probably not going to be locking down the lenses, and you'll be making fine adjustments with your left hand, or at least the hand holding the lens, as you're scaling down the power, right? So you might start it out, put it in the lens like this off to the side, and as you're coming down, you're also working your way toward the middle, because you of course want to spot dead center in 99% of the time, or whatever, you know, when there's no prescribed prism. So we got our target for the most part dead set in the reticle. It may be a little off just because it's hard for me to tell through the camera, but you see where I stopped at, right? This is the power of our lens, and it is in fact a -2. Okay, you're feeling comfortable with it, I hope. Let's go to one that maybe I think you'll do good with it. If you've been getting the answers before I say them, you're going to easily get this. Now, here's what I'm going to do. Excuse me. I'm going to go high in the plus, and I'm just going to keep working my way down. I want you to watch the power and then lock it in your mind what it is. So this is like a test, because if I stop there, of course you'll know the power. But I'm going to just roll through it slowly, and I want you to see what power is this lens, okay? And I'm going to go past it on purpose so you can watch for it and have it in your mind. Hey, this was a what? I'll go high in the plus, and I'll start working my way down. I'll be sure to go slow. All right, it's obviously getting fuzzy again. What was the power of this lens? This is your quiz number 1. Put it in the comments. Tell me, what is it? What was the power? Quiz number 1 equals what power? What is it? Don't watch this and then put it either. All right. This was and is a minus 150. So if you said a minus 150, or if you put a minus 150 in the comments, you got it right. Great job. So there's 2 main things at work here. The first is focusing in the lens meter so the target is clear. The second is being able to accurately read the power drum. And that's where a lot of mistakes are made, you know. So it's important to be thorough. It's important. To some of you, this may even seem really basic, but you have to have a good foundation before we start getting into lenses that have cylinder, prism, and some of the other advanced techniques that I will show you how to do. What do you do when a lens, it's a surface lens, and it has unwanted prism in there? Do you have to throw it away? That's a question. Not always. You'd be surprised. You know, not always do you have to throw away that lens. And there's going to be a lot of stuff I'm going to show you, but it has to start here. So, okay, I'm going to take this out. So far we've done a whole number, a -1 and a -2. Let's try this one. All right, I'll put my lens in there. We'll do the same thing. This is quiz number 2. So if you want to follow along, you want to put the comment below. I'm going to do the same thing I did last time. I'm just going to cruise right on past this power. And I want you to try and tell me in the comments, what is the power of this lens? Here we go. And I purposefully left this a little extra blurry. And this might, when it does come into focus, it will not be in the center, most likely. And from the appearance, it won't. So that's okay. As long as you're not way off, you can usually get a good read on the lens. Anyway, so, okay, here we go. And remember, this is quiz number 2. What is the power of this lens? I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep on going. What is it? In the comment below, lens power of quiz number 2 equals +3? No, it's not no +3, is it? All right, let's get to it. What is it? Right there. That looks clear to me. Where am I at? On my power drum, I'm at a -125. Okay? And I hope you got the same thing. And if you are, you're doing really good. And I hope you're encouraged, because this is where it all begins, and it might seem a little slow, but everything that we're doing is necessary. Now what I'm doing is I'm grabbing some plus lenses. I wasn't planning on doing this, but looks like you're doing really good. So we're gonna throw in, because we haven't done any pluses. I probably shouldn't have said I'm doing a plus, but so there you go. You got one hint anyway. But I'm going to throw another lens in there just so we can round out our tutorial here. So we're doing a little bit of everything and not just all minuses. But I'm going to do the same thing, and this is quiz number 3. Write it out before I tell you the answer. Here we go. And my first mistake is not going into plus, right? So always go high into plus and slowly work down from there. All right. Do you know what it is? What is the power of this lens? Put it in the comments. This is quiz number 3. Do one more. All right, before we get there, let's dial it in. High and a plus, work my way down, and right there. Did you see a plus 225? If you did, you're doing great. Now, stock lenses usually do not come in the 1/8 diopters. So you usually won't find a 2.12 or 2.37. If the doctor does order that, usually you'll have to surface them. Usually you won't find those in stock powers or finished powers. Okay, so because these are all stock lenses, these are all easier, and they're gonna always be in 1/4 diopter references. Okay, so our last one, and this will be quiz number 4. I'm gonna start high in the plus, work my way down. All right, what is the power of this lens? Put it in the comments. Quiz number 4. What's the power of lens? Quiz number 4. All right, let's test it. Where are we at? Always go away. Always go away. That's the, if you're in the United States, it may not make sense now, but always get in the habit of rotating the drum away from you. Always away. It'll make more sense once we get to start spotting cylinders. But for now, it's best to always do that. Don't work your way, to the power coming from the minus section. Always go high into the plus, and work your way down, turning the power drum slowly away from you. And there is the power of our lens. I'm off a little bit, actually. It's a plus 375. Okay, did you get it? If you did, great job. And hopefully you see it's not as intimidating as it may seem. A lot of people run to the auto lens meters, and they're great for what they are. The speed, the accuracy, there is absolutely no doubt that they are great machines and useful and should be in every lab, every dispensary. They're invaluable. But they still will never replace the manual lens meter, at least not with this current technology, right? They're not there yet. So if you can master this, you're doing, so many people neglect this machine, and it's sad. You know, I love this lens meter. It's what I started on, and it's what I'll end on. I love it. So I hope this all makes sense to you. Again, any questions, leave them for me in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer them, as well as if you learn from this video and you seen questions come around in the comments and you feel comfortable answering them, maybe you get to them before I do. By all means, let's help each other out and continue to grow in our opticianry skills. All right? Thanks again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.